Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story in which our OP's colleague used children as an excuse to work less. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Told my coworker that kids isn't an excuse. Background. I have about 14 colleagues and a boss. Of the 16 of us, only 3 of them do not have children. I'm one of the ones that do. I have 3 of them. I'm also a single mom. The issue. One of my coworkers with a kid definitely plays the mom card. I usually hate using that term as crap comes up when you have kids, but she uses this as to why she can never come in on time, why she needs to leave early, why she's always preoccupied with her phone, why she can't focus on what she's doing so she screws up, and we have to fix her mistakes, etc. Her kid is 9 years old, in school all day, not even doing virtual learning, but in school. He's a neurotypical child with no health issues. I get worrying about him, but like I said, about 80% of us have kids. We all still show up and do our job, and honestly, the excuse of, I have a kid, wears thin. Especially about coming in early or late because her husband doesn't work so he can take care of their son. Our boss defends her and refuses to do anything about her negligence. I do blame our boss more because she just allows it to happen, but I do think my coworker needs to step up while we're at work. I've tried talking to her nicely. She says she'll do better and never does. I've asked if she needs help with something, offering support, and she says she's fine. I also went to HR and they did diddly squat except have a meeting telling us we all need to pull our weight. Nothing changed. The other day she screwed up again. She was on her phone like she is most of the day and wasn't giving it her all. It was a huge mistake that nearly cost us a client, and it's one that she's made several times before. I admit I wasn't nice with her about this. I didn't yell, but my tone was clipped, and I told her that she needs to put the damn phone away and actually pay attention to what she's doing. She got in a tizzy saying that she was texting her husband about their son and she didn't mean to, she's sorry, etc. I said it wasn't okay and she needs to just focus. She then tried saying, I have a kid, my mind's in 2 places. I told her, I have 3 kids that all go to different schools. I'm here every morning on time. I stay until it's time to go. I may have to take a call for my kids occasionally. I get you think about your kids all the time, but I also manage to do my job. This excuse just doesn't fly anymore. Do your damn job. She quickly went about fixing her mistake and I walked away. She didn't go to HR or our boss over it, but someone else who overheard it did. I was severely reprimanded for this, saying that it's not my job to have that talk with her. I said maybe not, but the people whose job it was weren't doing anything. I didn't get a formal write-up, but things are tense. Some of my coworkers think I did the right thing. Others think I should have documented it with HR and let it go. In my opinion, everyone needs to stop correcting her mistake so that management actually have to do something about it. They'll see once they lose clients because of mistakes she's repeatedly done. Let her screw up. Once she starts costing the company money, they might start taking things more seriously. And our second story. Watch your 6-year-old without being asked? Absolutely. This happened almost 25 years ago, early internet days. I was around 16 or so, and my mom was going back to college to get a degree. One Saturday morning, she said that one of her classmates was coming over for a study session. No big deal, I was in my room studying for a college-level AP course anyway, so I didn't really pay much attention. Cue arrival of classmate, a 40-something lady with a 6-year-old girl in tow. I didn't realize that until I opened the door for them and invited them in, my mom immediately gushes over the kid and suddenly I'm being voluntold to watch her while they study. To say nothing of the fact I have my own studying to do. Kid's mom's perfectly happy to scoot the kid my way without so much as a would you mind or a thank you. I later discovered that this was planned all along and my mom purposefully didn't tell me because she knew I'd refuse. Fortunate for me, the girl's really sweet and well-behaved. But I have nothing, absolutely nothing that would remotely interest a 6-year-old. My mother tells me we can just listen to music in my room or whatever. Now, bear in mind that every single CD I owned was probably tagged explicit lyrics, and she knew this. I said, are you sure you want a 6-year-old listening to Pan? Yes, just go and watch her. Okay. Off we skip to my room. Here's where the malicious compliance starts. Now, I'm a chronic nibbler when I'm studying. I had a big Ziploc bag of candy on my desk. Kid immediately spots the candy and politely asks if she can have some. Cue my most devious Grinch smile. I was told to watch her, so I'm gonna watch her. Eat this bag of candy. Imagine, if you will, a 6-year-old girl and a 16-year-old girl listening to stuff like Pantera and Tool and chowing down on candy. After our respective parents' 2-hour whine and bitch session, study session, Mom came to fetch kiddo. By this point, the sugar high was starting to take effect. I know it's not real, but damn, this kid got super hyper. Kid starts zooming down the stairs and channeling her inner cat at 3 a.m., barreling through the hallway. Her mom asked to strap her into the car, and it looked something like a human trying to hold on to a buttered live electric eel. As my mom is watching them leave, I spy her glaring at me out of the corner of my eye. What did you do to that poor child? No, I just gave her some candy and we listened to Pantera. You what? I tried to tell you, but you said you didn't care. Just go watch her. The sudden realization of a 6-year-old hyped up on sugar and singing Good Friends and a Bottle of Pills hits my mom like a ton of bricks. She wants to say something, but sounds like a rusty old engine trying to start. She doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. Don't you have some bop or something a little more kid-friendly in your collection? Blink. Well, if you'd told me beforehand, I probably could have borrowed something from a friend or went and rented a cartoon movie or something, but you just sprang it on me, so I made do with what I had. There really was nothing she could say, but you can bet she never asked me to babysit again. Sometimes being a justified jerk will set you up for less problems later on. Sometimes being a justified butt will set you up for less problems later on. Too bad you didn't have any coffee for her to wash the candy down with. Should keep a couple of bottles of the cold brew stuff handy for next time. And our last story. My father dissolved the HOA. My dad lives in a neighborhood that had an HOA, but only because his father, my grandfather, designed the entire thing. The whole neighborhood, I mean, and built the houses everyone lives in over there. My grandfather never imagined such a thing as an HOA. They didn't even exist at that point. The HOA became a thing in the neighborhood in the 60s. My grandfather designed and built the neighborhood itself as well as the houses during the 30s and 40s. My dad kept up with it all for decades, but one day he was just done with it. Was sick of the restrictions, was sick of the dues that seemingly went nowhere, was sick of being charged to live in a neighborhood his own father created. The dues went somewhere, but it was not to the upkeep of the neighborhood. So he just stopped paying the dues and stopped talking to the HOA neighbors. They tried to sue him for the past dues. It didn't work out for them. They tried to sue him when my sister's car broke down on his pristine middle-class lawn. It didn't work out for them. They then turned to harassment, and when that didn't work, they turned to shunning him. Then the president of the HOA, or whatever they're called, died. So my dad put his name in. Against all odds, he won the vote to head and run the HOA. His first day on the job, he called up his lawyers, paid a bunch of money, and had the whole thing disbanded. No more HOA. The neighborhood has never been better. Suddenly, long-standing empty houses were bought by families with children. Community gardens, both veggie and flowers, started popping up. No one was being watched or harassed for having the wrong-colored mailbox or for forgetting to mow their lawn one week. Kids started trick-or-treating, and everyone got involved with community holiday parties. Caroling and Christmas tree festivities became a thing. Pools were installed. Neighbors started talking to one another again and having backyard barbecues. The best thing that ever happened to my dad's neighborhood, the place I grew up in, was getting rid of the HOA and firing all the nosy Neds and nasty Nellies. The people in that HOA were basically pocketing the funds from the dues while being total psychos about how the neighborhood appeared. It was a nightmare when I was growing up. I've never seen my dad more proud of himself than when he signed the paperwork to disband that HOA. I still don't understand exactly how he did it, but he did, and the neighborhood is finally a good place to raise a family. With friendly neighbors and beautifully maintained properties that reflect the owners, everyone is happy. There are kids playing everywhere, and it's just an all-around nice place to live now. Except for the people who were originally part of the HOA. They never leave their houses, put up nasty handwritten signs warning people that if their kids even so much as look at the house, they'll call the police. Just all around miserable folk who were no longer able to rip off the rest of the neighbors and spend that money on their personal shopping sprees. Last time I visited him, I went to walk his dog. She's huge, half Great Dane, half Black Lab. She's got the Dane size and the Lab hyperactivity. Walked by the house of the previous vice president of the HOA, who's now in her late 60s. She came flying out of her house like a bat out of Hades. "I know you. You're Whisper's kid. You better get your dog off my lawn, you degenerate. I'm calling the police." Yes, she actually called me a degenerate. I'm in my 40s now. And we were nowhere near her actual lawn. We were in the street passing her house. This was not my first round with this lady, and in her defense as a teen, I was not polite towards her. In my defense as a teen, she was a total effing psycho towards me for no reason. Every morning when I was trying to walk to school, she just didn't like me. Nothing worse than being constantly bullied by an adult you can't stand up against. I just took her crap for years, until I didn't and spoke my mind. She didn't like that. This was years before my dad did what he did to the HOA. I believe back then she was the treasurer for the dues collected. Anyway, she did in fact decide to call the police on me for walking my dad's dog past her house. They came to the house, we all had a nice chat, and then they went on their way over to her house to issue her a ticket for making a false report. She was lucky they could have arrested her. From what I hear, she was as nasty to the police as she was to me that day. The thing is, the neighborhood folk that have moved in and built this amazing community, they genuinely care about all the neighbors, especially those who have shut themselves in since the HOA was disbanded. They try to get them involved, check on them, leave homemade dinners and pies for them. They're now all elderly, and the community really actually gives a damn about them. No one wants to leave these people on their own or make them feel like they don't belong. The people previously in the HOA are so mad that they lost their free income and are so bitter that they flat out refuse to be a part of anything in the neighborhood and go out of their way to make things difficult for everyone. It's only like 3 of them left, but they work their hardest to get anyone in trouble any way they can for anything they can find. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.